Let's go. 2 crab, please.
I've been a chef for over 50 years.
Service.
And I've come to realise that the food we eat tells a story about who we are.
So I'm on a mission to find out what we all like to eat today.
Oh, that is good.
From our traditional dishes
Long live the Yorkshire pudding.
to those we've made our own.
I mean, that is multifaceted Britain on one page.
I'll meet producers,
There you see a robot. It's picking them.
I find a lot of craft beers too hoppy. Don't know why, but it tastes all right.
some of our best chefs,
We're picking scurvy grass.
Crikey.
Pretty punchy.
plus those keeping traditions alive.
We've just got to finish. I have no hope.
I'll see how food brings us together.
Dig in.
Lovely, that sort of hot garlic. Fabuloso.
And from my home in Padstow, I'll bring you great dishes of my own.
Love stuff like this. So join me as I unearth the stories behind the food we all love to eat today.
I'm in the northwest of England, Manchester to be precise, a city created in the furnace of the Industrial Revolution, which once sang to the tune of the cotton mills. Today, Manchester is a thoroughly modern city, a jewel in the northern crown. Yet Mancunians remain proud of their roots, and rightly so, as from this industrial melting pot came some of our most famous British foods. I've been told that the best place to find some great northern grub is at Bury Market in the town of Bury.
If you really want to know what makes an area tick, come to a market, because there's so many different people and you get a feeling for the place, really. I will always do that wherever I am in the world. I go to a market and I really begin to understand what it's all about.
Once in the county of Lancashire, Bury is now part of Greater Manchester. The market here was voted Britain's best in 2022. I just hope that I don't stand out as a southern softie as I search for my favourites. Ah, here we go.
Could I try some black pudding?
Of course you can.
Lancashire Viagra.
Lancashire Viagra.
Yeah.
That's very silly.
It is, I know, but it keeps people entertained.
Well, I have to say the first thing I was looking for was the little lumps of fat, which is, you know...
In this day and age, it's the dearest thing that goes into a black pudding.
Is it?
It really is, yeah. Everybody wants back fat for turkeys, for everything else.
Oh, that is good.
Good, I'm glad you
That
like
is
it.
really good.
And that's how it should be eaten on its own.
Black pudding is a sausage made from pig's blood, back fat, herbs and oatmeal. It's believed to be one of the oldest forms of sausage. Even Homer, the ancient Greek poet, mentions it in his Odyssey. But Tony is also something which I think it's fair to say isn't quite so appetising.
You've got tripe there too.
Yeah, Lancashire calamari.
Lancashire calamari.
It is,
so
yes.
we've got Lancashire Viagra here, calamari there. We're very cosmopolitan.
Tripe has a surprisingly mild flavour, despite being the lining of the animal's stomach, usually a cow or sheep.
It's actually done the traditional way. It's
Right.
not bleached, it's done in lime and soda.
I can hear a squeal of terror from our younger viewers, and I admit it's not the most attractive of foods, but it is very tasty.
What I want to ask you is, why do you think so many people find something like tripe something they just don't want to eat?
People are used to going to supermarkets,
Yeah.
getting a nice little fresh packet,
Yeah.
the lovely label on, taking it home and dinging it in the microwave.
Yeah.
This needs to be treated with a bit of respect, cooked nicely, or prepared freshly. I think it's just down to time and
Yeah.
supermarkets. Really do.
We don't like things that we don't like the look of, you know?
Yeah.
As if that mattered to
I
our
have to
stomachs.
Well, if tripe isn't to your taste, then I'm pretty sure this won't be. Cow heel is, as advertised, the heel of a cow. I know it because as a boy, I wanted to be the comic book hero Desperate Dan, who ate cow pie made with cow heel to make him strong.
Can I just have a look at a bit of cow
Of course you
heel?
can.
Because for me, The dandy,
Yeah,
Desperate Dan.
Desperate Dan pie.
It seems that in the north of England, black pudding, tripe, cowhill, they're all much more part of the sort of local culture. Why do you think that is then?
I think because industry
Yeah.
started in the northwest with the cotton mills and everything else.
Yeah.
So you had little slaughterhouses. You had a butcher who would slaughter everything, but he couldn't throw anything away, so he had to use it. Hence the tripes, the cowheels, and everything else.
So you'd want to use every, you know,
You had to.
that nose to tail idea that you
Yeah.
just eat everything.
Which I think is the best wood policy. It really is.
Yeah, and also I think it makes you more inventive if you're using sort of gristly cuts of meat. You know, you want to find ways of making it
They
tender.
taste
and-
better.
Yeah,
They taste
agree,
much
agree.
better.
These types of food, collectively called offal, can be just as nutritious as other cuts of meat, just not so expensive. Perhaps one of Manchester's most famous residents was the writer Anthony Burgess of Clockwork Orange fame, who often hankered for the food of Manchester and the neighbouring county of Lancashire.
He once said, "I'm sometimes mentally ill for Lancashire food, in particular hot pot." And he wrote about cowhill. Cowhill is eaten with much succulence and dribbling and bone chewing. Steak and cowhill pie, a great delicacy, he wrote.
There's been a market here since the 15th century, but the Bury market we see today was built in the 1970s after a fire swept through the old market in 1968.
So these are all the good cheeses of Lancashire here then?
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Yeah,
Is this the crumbly?
that's the crumb, the Lancashire
Right,
from
sort of
them.
the crumbly. Now this, that's really nice, but this is what people think of as Lancashire cheese, isn't it?
Lancashire crumble. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
the most popular one. I give all the samples out, which brings people in.
Yeah.
You know, because once they try them, they can't resist.
Thank you very much. 5, 10, 20. Thank you. Yeah, it's over now.
I'm really enjoying Bury Market because you can sort of feel food history here. I mean, it's like a sort of working man, working woman's food everywhere you go.
And my visit wouldn't be complete without a stop to taste some legendary Northern English treats.
Ah, this is what I've been looking for. Right, well, I'm Rick.
Hi Rick, I'm Joanne. Pleased to meet
Very
you.
nice to
Welcome
meet
to
you,
Harry
Joanne.
Muffin and Bury Market.
Well, very nice to be here. First of all, Eccles cakes, Chorley cakes, right?
So-
What's the difference? Can I try both?
You can. So this is Eccles cakes, which is
Right.
puff pastry coated in sugar.
Puff
with
pastry.
Puff pastry. Nice, lovely plump currants in the middle. Very nice with a cup of tea. And
Cup of
then
tea, gotta be.
Chorley cake. That's a plain short sweet pastry. That's really nice with a bit of butter on top, just to make it that extra little bit. Very, good quality
Subtle
butter.
difference.
Yeah.
Really, same berries, same fruit.
Yeah,
But
so in the war, so when you had your ration book and you had your leftover pastry, you'd make Chorley's or Eccles cakes, make the most of your ingredients.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's it like coming to work here then?
It's brilliant. We're all friends and family who work here, and it's great to be a part of.
It's been a fantastic morning. It's also about the feeling of belonging in a community. I think that's what markets are really special for.
2 for the 5 on your big buddies and mushrooms.
Back in my kitchen, I've a plan to make a popular British dish found in pubs up and down the land, a ploughman's lunch, using the black pudding I picked up in Bury Market.
Well, a ploughman's lunch often has a pork pie or a Scotch egg, and I thought, why not a Scotch egg? Because I can mix the black pudding with sausage meat to make something truly special.
First off, boil some water for the eggs.
And then add some salt, about a teaspoon of salt. And the reason for adding the salt is twofold. It makes the white stiffer, and particularly where I'm going to coat the whole egg with sausage meat, that's a good thing. And secondly, many people think it actually makes peeling an egg, a boiled egg, easier.
While the eggs boil, start preparing the sausage meat mix. Fry some finely chopped shallots until lightly browned. Chop some parsley, grind some fennel, and pop on the side for later. When 6 minutes is up, remove the eggs and shock them in ice water to stop them cooking. Now you're ready to start on the sausage meat mix.
So into my bowl with my sausage meat goes the fennel and the parsley, and now the shallots. And now for the black pudding. And here's my black pudding. And I've estimated that we need 2/3 sausage meat and 1/3 of black pudding. So just crumble it in to my sausage mix. There's a number of theories about what scotched eggs means. In the 17th, 18th century, scotching eggs meant that you actually boiled them and then steeped them in lime as to preserve them for a long time, for months actually. The eggs then became very discoloured, so they'd put a coating of sausage meat around them to hide the colour, I suppose.
Now season the mix with a large pinch or two of salt and a generous amount of pepper. Then don't be shy, roll up your sleeves and mix it all up.
Some chef once said to me, your fingers are the best tools in the kitchen. Use them whenever you can.
Shape the mixture into patties. Roll your cooled, peeled eggs in flour and place each one in the centre of the meat. Now for the tricky bit, folding the meat around the egg.
This is hard. I'm sure if I did it every day, I'd be whizzing through them, a bit like crimping pasties, but I'm finding it difficult.
Once you've done a half-decent job, cover each one in flour, then beaten egg. Finally, roll in panko breadcrumbs for that delicious crispy coating. Deep fry at 160 degrees for 8 to 10 minutes until nice and golden. When cooked, carefully take out each one and remove any excess fat with kitchen roll. Once cooled, it's ready to serve.
Well, that looks a bit special. Actually, ploughman's lunches go back a long way, to the 14th century at least, because they're mentioned in an allegory of the time called Piers Ploughman, which I studied at university. The actual phrase goes, bread and ale, butter, milk and cheese is a sort of lunch dish for a ploughman. And now to taste, you'll notice that there's plenty of the sausage meat and black pudding. So here we go. Scrumptious.
I've made my way into Manchester's northern quarter, this city's creative urban heart. It's steeped in history. Everywhere you look are the architectural reminders of its industrial past. But today, the old cotton mills and warehouses, once called the workshops of the world, have been transformed into trendy bars and restaurants.
A few years ago, I did a series called Long Weekends, where I went all over Europe, spending a long weekend in cities like Palermo, Vienna, Reykjavik, Copenhagen, and Berlin. And I guess if I was to do the same in the UK, I'd choose Manchester. Like Berlin, it has a certain noir quality. And I like noir, I like sort of roughness and a slight feeling of decay, which doesn't exist in much of Manchester. It's a very go-ahead city. But I'd make a beeline to here because I like a bit of grimness. It makes me think, and it's interesting.
Out of the grit came some of Manchester's best-loved bands, venues and clubs. And today, music is still very much alive in this area. As a fan of the sounds coming out of the city in the 70s and 80s, I just had to stop at a little slice of vinyl heaven.
This is called the Vinyl Resting Place, which is perfect. A vinyl resting place. I had a disco in the 70s, And I used to use my albums to play on the disco, and when I listen to them now, I can hear the scratches. It takes me right back. A really good friend of mine, Terry, worked in a club called the Twisted Wheel here in Manchester. She bought loads of 45s down to Cornwall and gave them to me, and that's how I started the disco. So I owe Manchester a great deal for my early disco experiences. Oh, look, 45s, this takes me back to those days in Padstow. Beatles, Kinks, Beach Boys, great. 10cc, Strawberry Studios in Stockport, Godley and Cream. Life is a minestrone. What could be more apt than that for a chef? Let's just give it a play.
Just over 100 years before 10cc were even heard of, Manchester was a very different place. The factories and mills were dirty and noisy, no health and safety back then. The hardships of the 19th century workers were documented by one of my favourite writers, Charles Dickens. As a social reformer and frequent visitor to Manchester, he was appalled by what he saw. His accounts can be read in his novel, Hard Times. Published in 1854, the book is set in a fictional northern mill town called Coke Town.
And here's a bit which I think you'll like. It was a town of machinery and tall chimneys out of which interminable serpents of smoke trailed themselves for ever and ever and never got uncoiled. It had a black canal in it and a river that ran purple with ill-smelling dye and vast piles of building full of windows like those behind me, and where the piston of the steam engine worked monotonously up and down like the head of an elephant in a state of melancholy madness.
I wonder what Charles Dickens would think of the chef I'm about to meet. Dickens was a great lover of food, so I like to think that he'd thoroughly approve of Higher Ground, one of Manchester's newest foodie establishments.
Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you. It's a lovely smell of charcoal. Is that?
Yeah, charcoal oven.
Great.
Joe Otway is the exciting new chef behind this venture, feeding Manchester's youngest and hippest crowd. But what's interesting to me is that he's giving them food which harks back to that bygone age of Dickens, when the tradition of nose-to-tail eating was simply part of life for many in this city.
Walking into this restaurant, it's really cutting edge, and I mean, it could be in any city in the world, really. You just think Manchester's arriving. What would you say about it?
Well, it does feel like it's emerging. You know, it doesn't have a history for dining that London does, or it doesn't have an established food scene. But for the modern sort of diner, it's just emerging now, and I think this new era is on the horizon.
Today, Joe has offered to cook me a dish that I'm delighted to hear is one of his best-selling recipes: pork offal ragu. To make the ragu, Joe prepares the pig's heart, kidney, and liver, which he'll mince before cooking. Then Joe gently fries the pork lung in oil and lard. To this he adds the minced heart. Seasoned with salt and pepper, he cooks until the moisture has all but gone and then sets aside. Next, sliced wild garlic and finely chopped onion are added to the pan, and he sweats them until soft. After a bit more seasoning, the offal is added back to the pan, to which Joe adds a splash of port and a good glug of red wine, followed by a dash of brandy. Finally, he adds the minced liver and kidneys and a generous amount of beef stock. He leaves it all to braise for 15 minutes before serving with homemade pasta, finished with toasted breadcrumbs and local Spenwood cheese. And of course, always serve with a glass of red wine.
Well, been looking forward to this. I can tell you, I know I'm going to like it just watching you making it. Look.
I hope so.
Oh. I mean, why wouldn't you like offal? If it's all minced up like that.
It's a difficult thing. It's not everyone thinks the same.
Well, it's just so interesting.
This recipe came up from cooking something because we needed a pasta dish for that evening. We always cook with what we have available. We put the offal ragu on. I was pretty nervous about it, and then it just sold very well, and people loved it.
People have got to come round to eating offal, haven't they? I mean, this whole idea, your ethos of using every part of the beast. Yeah. I mean, it's not new in certain circles.
No, it's old. It is old, but it feels new. But it shouldn't be that way. I think that we're moving out of the dark days where offal is frowned upon. You have to find ways to use the offal. Slip it in. If you use it with pasta, everybody loves pasta. It's very comforting, and then the offal doesn't feel so jarring to people.
I think that's right, but also, I mean, you know, this part of the country, surely everybody should be eating offal. You've got like black pudding, you've got like tripe, you've got like all those sort of hitherto poor people's food. Yeah. We should be celebrating it, I think, really.
Absolutely.
You're on the money. You really are on the money. And I've been in the business for a while.
I know, I appreciate your opinion a lot.
You are.
I appreciate your opinion.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
I'm so pleased to see that nose-to-tail eating is making a comeback. So I wonder if I can tempt the new crowd to a particular favourite of mine and a British classic, sautéed calf's liver with caramelised onions, grilled bacon, cabbage and mashed potatoes.
So the liver doesn't take any time at all. It's very thinly sliced, but what does take a bit of time is the cabbage. So I'm going to start with that.
I like to use a Savoy cabbage as it's full of flavour. For this recipe, you only need half thinly sliced. To a pan of sizzling butter, add some chopped shallots, the sliced cabbage, and a handful of chopped parsley. Season with salt and pepper, and leave to cook on a low heat. In another pan, fry one sliced onion in butter with a little sugar to help caramelisation, then season to taste. When the onions are browned, add a splash of balsamic vinegar, some beef stock, and leave to simmer.
OK, now to start with some meat. First of all, I'm going to griddle some bacon over here. This is lovely dry cured bacon. Great thing about dried cured bacon is it's got no water in it, no brine, therefore it's much drier. And when you cook it, it doesn't spit water all over the kitchen. This is actually streaky bacon, which for cooking purposes, it's got more flavour because it's got more fat in it. OK, that's fine. Let's keep that in a warm place now. And now for the liver. First thing I've got to do with the liver is season it with salt and a bit of pepper.
Once seasoned, dust both sides of the liver with plain flour.
And it is quite a quick operation, so I'm going to have to concentrate. Because it's so thin, and I really like it thinly cut like this, it's literally only about 30 seconds on either side. So I don't want to overcook it by any means, because I think actually overcooked calf's liver it's not my cup of tea. I mean, of course, if you don't like the idea of pink liver, cook it for longer, a minute maybe, on either side. But I just love it. Really, really brown, but still pink on the inside. There we go. Smelling gorgeous, of course. There we go. Done. And now I'm just going to check my cabbage, and we should be, as they say in certain circles, home and hosed. Cabbage looks great. Such a nice dish, and actually what you want is not too much flavour in your veg, because all the flavour's in the liver and the bacon and the gravy. So now to make it up. Well, that looks lovely to me. I'm just going to try the liver first of all, because that's my big love. Nice and pink inside, and so soft and luscious and sweet. It's just a great all-round dish. I just love it.
It's been a fascinating trip to Manchester, but before I leave, I have to visit another one of this city's great institutions, the Marble Arch Inn. Like its thriving new food scene, Manchester's pubs are just as important to me.
Oh, excuse me. That is a delicious feather-laid and marble stout pie. It is the sort of pub pie that I dream of. But I think it's very important for a place like Manchester to have pubs like this, because things are changing so rapidly. You just only have to go through Manchester and there's buildings going up everywhere and the whole food scene's moving on, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's great that it's such a vibrant food scene in Manchester, but we still need our pubs. They're very British. They're what people from other countries long to go and sit in. It's a great experience. And to find a pub like this with really lovely beer and great pub food is something quite special.
It's so exciting to see how this part of England is reinventing its traditional food for a modern generation. If you have a spare weekend, then it's well worth a visit to taste the new British food on the menu. But while you're here, don't forget to pop in for a pint. Next time, I'm in South Wales.
So do you ever get sheep blown up at all?
None that I've seen so far.
Oh, well, that's really good. We've just got to finish. This is unbelievable. I had no hope. This is great. Love stuff like this. Where's my plate? Okay, where's my fish slice?